Is your small business growing? That's the question we address right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. It's where we interview strategic entrepreneurs who inform and inspire you on your solopreneur or small company journey. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Grow Your Biz Show. Hello and welcome to the Grow Your Biz Show. This is episode number 89, and I am your host, Paul Madsen. And I'm also the founder of GrowMedia.com. GrowMedia.com helps grow your business by uniquely interviewing you and getting your story on social media and on television. With me today is Corey Spitzer, the co-founder of Scorevision. Corey, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Good to see you, good to see you. We're going to hear all about Corey's story right after we thank our sponsor. ActionCoachOmaha.com is the global leader in business coaching for small businesses and businesses of all sizes. If you need to clarify your business and if you need to have some accountability in your business, contact Jim Barger at Action Coach Omaha. Corey, welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad again you're here. So we're going to just jump right into two things with the Grow Your Biz show here. And Corey, tell us what business you are in.
Oh man, I like to think I'm in the business of making businesses, but I
like that. Wait, that's good. I like to think I'm in the business of making businesses. You know, that's good enough right there. Well, tell us what that means.
Well,
there was a but, I know, but tell us what it means.
Sure. So classically trained as a software engineer, but you know, I like building companies. I'm not the most experienced person building companies, but I like all the aspects of marketing and sales and product and
the whole mix.
That's where I'm trying to get to.
Well, I think, and we're going to get into a little bit of it. You've already been there. You're being there, doing that, as they say. So I interrupted you. I said, "What business are you in?" And you said you like to think you're in the business of building businesses, and then you're starting to say a little bit more about what business you are in.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I like the answer because you're talking about the outcome, not just the nuts and bolts of what you're doing.
Right, yeah. So I have always been, I've been a software engineer for about 20 years now, and I'm actually in the process of starting the next company.
Okay.
Right now, for the last 4 years, I've been focused on Scorevision, which is a company that installs jumbotrons in high schools and colleges, you know, the big 40-foot boards.
Yeah.
And then we create the software to allow anybody to easily run productions, scoreboards, community events.
Do you do the construction side and the materials side, or just the software side?
No, we're definitely a software company.
That's what I thought.
We have an install team that hangs the jumbotrons.
Right.
But our bread and butter is the software.
Right. I thought that was the nuts and bolts behind it that nobody sees. Right.
Right.
And interesting. And so now you were a co-founder there.
Yes.
And so you've seen it from day one. We'll get into some of those behind-the-scenes stories a little bit.
Yeah.
But tell us what made Scorevision unique. What differentiates Scorevision from all the competitors out there?
Well, Scorevision has entered the scoreboard market. That's where we came from. And scoreboards, if you think about scoreboards, they're made of metal. They're fixed digit, what we call fixed digit. You know, they look like old digital watches, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Guess they do.
It's been that way for decades,
right?
And so we came at it, you know, newcomers to the market with a fresh vision. It actually all started back in 2008. One of the co-founders, Chad Bukowski, he wanted to build an app for the brand new iPhone because they were just now in 2008 allowing developers to write apps for the phone. And he was thinking, you know, what do I write? You know, I just need a little project.
I want to write something. I want to create something. He's a programmer by background, right?
Right, yeah. So his son was playing at Omaha Sports Academy. He was playing basketball, and Chad, he was having trouble seeing the scoreboard. It was behind him. So
okay.
instead of craning his neck, he said, well, I'm going to write a little app and I'm going to track the score and the fouls myself. So that was in 2008. And
while he's sitting there? No.
Yeah.
That's when the idea hit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So, and that app actually did fairly well. Fast forward to 2014.
Okay. 08 to 2014. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've been, I had my own software company for a couple of years. It was called Riff Labs. And Chad was a partner at one of my clients.
Okay.
And we both were in services doing client work, which is fine. But we had
contract software development
right.
for somebody who might be outside of the industry.
Exactly.
They're renting themselves out as developers, as programmers, and serving the client that way. But
right.
But you didn't want to be in that world forever, right?
Right. Yeah. So instead of having someone pay us hourly to make an app or a website, we wanted to build something ourselves and have that grow.
And why is that? It's because there's only so many hours in the world, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if you could put out 5 apps or something and they each generate some
sure.
revenue, then that's a little bit better.
And I'm going to stop you just for a moment because that's a real important thing for entrepreneurs. And that's our audience, Corey, is
sure.
entrepreneurs, people wanting to start, people wanting to grow to the next level. I think, entrepreneurs too often say, oh, I'm going to sell my service, and that's fine. And it's like I said, well, the problem is there's, how many hours do you want to work in a year? You want to work 2,000? You want to work 2,500? Right. I mean, I've had a lawyer friend who's worked 2,200 hours a year, and it's a lot. And there's only so much time you either want to or can give to that scenario. And so entrepreneurs, I want you to remember that we all need to remember this. How do I scale myself? How do I build out myself, Corey?
Right.
And so you're at that point, and you got into the idea of let's do something scalable.
Right, exactly.
I'll let you pick up the story from there.
And the difference in technology between 2008 and 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, that's immense. That's 6 years, right? So, what 2014 looked like was you could, at that time, write an app on an iPad, hook it up with a cable to a TV, and you could have the buttons for scorekeeping on the iPad.
Okay.
But lots of flashy animation, like a multimedia scoreboard on the TV.
Okay.
So that's where we started. We came,
with the cable.
Right. Chad said, hey, why don't we bring back this scoreboard idea? And we.
So he hadn't really done anything much with that app since the time he wrote it to 2014.
It was redesigned once or twice, but not really.
Not really pushed. Oh, you said it did do well though, on an app store.
Right. Yeah, I think.
Just for personal use.
Right. I think it 100,000 downloads over 6 years, something like that. Wow. But we came together, and this was David Sutter and Gordon Whitten were in the mix as well, and we said, hey, we can do this now. We can take this to the next level.
Okay.
And how far can we go with this? What if we, instead of had one TV, we put 4 TVs together? And so we went that route. And then, so we eventually sold to Omaha Sports Academy. So they have our scoreboards. And then took a trip to China, switched to LED, which allowed us to have the bigger boards.
Okay.
Added a lot more apps to make everything simpler. We totally blew up the capabilities that we install and deliver now.
And that's pretty exciting stories. I mean, take us from the time that the 3 or 4 of you were sitting in a room saying, we could do this, turn it into something, to the time you're going to China. How long a period of time is this to scale your product and things like that?
Well, so we started getting really serious about this in 2014, and then I think the China trip was, I want to say it was 2016, early 2016, something like that.
Right.
And of course, in the meantime, we raised investor money. We hired tech support, sales team, and we went all at it.
At what point do you? 2014, you're getting serious. 2016ish, you're in China looking at more technology, better technology. At what point do you start actually getting some revenue? Did you get revenue before you got investor money, or how did that all pan out?
Right. So our first couple customers were right about time we were raising fundraising.
That gives the investor a little confidence then.
Right. And then
not just a cocktail napkin idea, right?
Right. And then 2015 was the year the business actually formed, and we had 2 high schools immediately.
Right.
And then it's just been growing every year since then. And everybody who loves them everybody who sees them loves them. Yeah. It's just, how do I get them? How do I pay for them? How do I convince my staff,
right,
especially at public schools?
Right. I imagine there's a lot of donors and charitable drives and causes and foundations and all that kind of stuff. Where around Omaha do you have these boards?
We're at Scott Catholic High School. We're at UTAN High School, West Side. We're at all 3 Millard High Schools, all 3 Elkhorn High Schools, Brownell Talbot.
Were you at then you're on the new Millard South one there?
Yes.
That's the one I know the most because I drive by there all the time and see this big, huge board. I say, wow, that looks like a college-size board for a high school. I imagine there was some fundraising and donors and things behind that.
Right, and of course the boards pay for themselves because of sponsor revenue. But our
that's a good point. Yeah.
Our elevator pitch is essentially bringing the big college or big arena experience down to high schools, and we get the kids involved. They get to create their own videos, raise the sponsorships. They learn skills.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's Scorevision, baby.
It is, yes. That's right.
Well, that's terrific. Well, tell us a little bit more about some of the challenges along the way of from formation to early clients and to product development to getting the funding and investment. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to growing a business, and that's what we're here to talk about, growing your history with growing a couple other businesses, including Scorevision, and we'll talk a little bit more about your next ventures as well, and that itch you have as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
But I mean, tell us about those early days. Did you get any sleep?
Well, I have put in some long hours, which is why we couldn't do the show last time you contacted me.
Yeah. There's those things. Yeah.
But it's been a ride. I would say, like with any business, you don't know what you don't know going in.
Right. That's the problem. Yeah.
And the vision you have in year 1 is not what the company or the product is going to look like in year 2 or year 3. And I used to say, Scorevision feels like a brand new company every 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
Because we're learning so fast and we're changing, we're pivoting. Like this huge switch from TVs to LED. I mean, that required a lot of thought and a little bit of gamble, right? But it all works out because when you have good people and you have good information, you can do wonders.
Well, yeah, and you're really right. I agree. And I really like that quote. It's like a new company every 3 to 6 months. I can't say the one word that I've heard a speaker use. We used to call it a beep beep. Now the more polite term is we pivot.
Yes.
We pivot. So you pivoted like you're in the sports business. You pivoted like a basketball player all the time in that business. Tell us about the early years of getting customers, getting clients. What's that like?
So it doesn't matter, in my opinion, my perspective, it doesn't matter if you're a 1-year-old company or a 10-year-old company. Sales, if you're based on sales, it's a grind. It's always going to be a grind. You have marketing, which is going to make your reputation precede you. We're very lucky in that our customer service and our support is spot on. It is white glove, and we take care of people, and that has helped a long way. Also, it helps that our customers evangelize for us because we're in a niche, essentially.
Yeah.
And in this niche, there's a community, and the community talks.
Right.
And so we do good work, and people hear about it.
Like you said, it sells itself. I mean, if I go to a game, and a high school game, let's say, and see a scoreboard over there, and I go, wow, I want one.
Yeah.
And now, do you have competitors who can also sell them that scoreboard or that system?
Right. Yes. So there's some other people in the market, and these are the people that are more the old school, right?
Okay.
They have the fixed digit scoreboards, and they're fine. I mean, we work with some of them.
Okay.
But what we deliver, again, the differentiator is the software. We'll run on any LED, essentially. But our software, which keeps delivering every year because we're always adding new things, we're always fielding feature requests.
You have to, you have to stay ahead of it, right?
It does so much, and it's very flexible, and it makes things super easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, when you're running a tournament, you have 30 seconds to learn how to run the scoreboard because you're just a parent of one of the competitors.
I mean, it has to be easy, it has to be operable. So again, going out, it is a grind, sales, marketing. I mean, were you part of any of those early sales efforts? When you're a co-founder, you have to wear a lot of hats. I mean, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. They're subject matter experts. Maybe they're technical, or as Taylor, who's been on the show, says, no, I'm sorry, I got it confused. As a past guest has said on the show, he says, if you're a techie, hire a salesperson. If you're a salesperson, hire a techie. Now, were you both in the early days?
So, having 4 founders helps a lot. And our strengths complement each other. My strength has not traditionally been sales. I can run a good demo, but most of the sales the other partners do.
Sure. Do you tell how many? Is it public information? How many installations you have out there, or anything like that? Is it dozens or?
It's well over. It's in the hundreds.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And
I don't know the exact number.
that's fine. That's not your side of the house, right?
Right. But I can tell you, we are in California to Florida to New York to Bangkok.
And so a lot of that's word of mouth. Is it more high schools than colleges, or?
I would say at this point there are more high schools, but we are in a lot of colleges, especially junior colleges.
Small colleges. Yeah.
And of course, Mid-America Center, just across the river.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah.
Lots of good places. Well, what's it like when you? Again, we're here for entrepreneurs. What's it like when you say, we have to hire somebody? And who do we hire? How do we hire? What's that like?
Well, it's scary. I mean, even going back to when I was running a company of just one.
Yeah.
I do everything. I write the code, and I've been writing code for 20 years. To now have somebody else write some of it, I mean, that's kind of uncomfortable, right? And you want to double check everything. And then, on some areas where you're not as trained up, you just need to know enough to know when someone's doing a good job or someone's doing a poor job.
Okay, right. Well, I mean, were there ever the days when you said, we need to hire 5 developers, but we don't have the money to do that? Or, I mean, how does all that work when you have a fast growth situation?
Right. So interviewing itself is a black art, but then, and I don't know anybody that gets it right 100% of the time, right? But you just have to choose people carefully, and your first bunch is just like your first few customers. It kind of defines the culture, defines the product.
Absolutely, good point.
And so, I think we've made it work. We, at least in Scorevision, we started with a bunch of people that have worked together for across companies for 10, 20 years. Okay,
that helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's kind of key in finding a partner too.
Right.
There's the balance of, are you as dedicated to this as I am? Do you love this idea as much as I do? Do you have the same amount of money and time to put into this? But I think equally important is, it helps a lot if you have worked with somebody in stressful situations on past projects.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, because it's not your first fight.
Right, and you've seen when somebody's sad or angry or ecstatic and what energizes them,
right.
and it's like a marriage.
Yeah, or you sense that they're getting very frustrated because you have a little bit of history with them. Maybe you've seen how they work in other stressful situations.
Right.
And so then, yeah, well, building that culture, building that team helps to have, sometimes it probably doesn't help to have a couple of people who know each other and want to go off on their own avenue. Does that ever happen?
Well, there's that saying, the devil you know. I think, in my experience, that applies more to vendors.
Okay.
Because I know, when they say this day, they're either going to over-deliver, they're going to be a little bit late, but they'll take care of me, or,
okay. Interesting. Yeah, well, it's a fine balance, I'm sure, to get that right. But as a cash flow situation, you had some investment money, you had some early customers, so you were able to fund the growth of the staff, and that helps a lot.
Yes,
People like to be paid.
Right.
I'm in love with a new television show on cable. It's, I think, on the Discovery Channel. It's called The Undercover Billionaire, and instead of an undercover boss, who goes undercover in his or her own company, this undercover billionaire he's got his pickup, his cell phone, and $100. And he wants to build a multi-million-dollar business.
Okay.
And he's not using any of his name or his resources or anything. Slept in his truck for the first 7 or 8 nights, in Erie, Pennsylvania. He got sick and everything, Anyway, the point is that, where was I going with that?
There's a mindset.
There's a mindset. He's collecting, he knows he needs to bring in some talent in the venture he's forming, and he's getting these people together kind of on the lam. They don't know, they know there's cameras in the background because it's a documentary thing they're built, how they always cover it up. But he's talking about these people coming in and they're just not being paid because he doesn't have any money yet. And he's bootstrapping his way up in that with selling houses and cars and whatever. The point is that his enthusiasm for this project, this enthusiasm for building this company, has gotten these volunteers together to do that. And so they're buying into the culture.
Yeah.
And so, even though you're paying your developers, I'm sure, early on, it's a law, isn't it? Right. People, that they still are buying into a culture.
Right, yeah.
And you've created how many employees roughly?
45-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a huge accomplishment in just so few years. It's 4 years or so?
Right, yeah, 4 years, just over.
And what's the percentage of technology people versus operations? And
I think it's maybe 20% developers and technology people. We have a lot of installers and technical support and sales.
Okay. Well, it's a great story, and there's a lot more to tell. I understand you have an itch that
yes.
You like creating new stuff,
yes.
and so you're kind of doing the side hustle thing a little bit now as well.
Right, yes. So
what's behind, why do that? Look he's a co-founder of a fast growth company. Why would he want to do something else? Answer that question for us.
I don't know. Some people are just wired to build, and Scorevision's in a great place, and there's still a lot that we could build.
Right.
But sometimes you have to step back and say, man, we did a really good job. We have accomplished these metrics, and we have people that are, we have kids and students that are learning new skills, and we've delivered that wow factor. And we're at a really good place right now.
Mm-hmm. The growth chart is stable and steady and going up on a regular basis. Okay.
And just me personally, I feel like, there's some pros and cons to being a 45-person company.
Right.
And I want to start the next thing.
Well, what is the next thing? What are you getting into?
So we're very, very early.
Very early,
and
right.
it's pretty loose. Right now I'm chasing this idea of improving the software quality assurance process. So basically, if you have a mobile app or you're a company that builds mobile apps,
Okay.
right now the way you test it is you have somebody usually dedicated or sometimes other people jump in. They push all the buttons and they try to find out, all the bugs. And
Okay.
they push all the buttons and they say, well, that's not right. You need to fix that.
Okay.
And I think there's a process. I've been talking with some people in the community, and I think we can come at this in a unique way and create a process where computers can do more of the work to ferret out issues with an app that you're building for mobile phones.
Okay. Well, that's sounds like a quality, pretty focused on quality assurance type things.
Right.
And so, if I understand, you're looking for input, would be a word, from the QA community?
Yes.
Okay.
So
tell me more about that.
So with any idea, you want to have a lot of meetings. You want to get a lot of feedback. You want to share your idea with a lot of people, mentors, potential customers, connectors. And so I'm in that process right now. So I've had a few lunches and a few meetings over the last few weeks, and I'm having one tomorrow with a gentleman that I just met.
Okay, great.
Just got introduced to.
And just getting the purpose of doing this, of you going out and getting feedback from people, is just that. You're out there to get what from them as you form your concept.
Right. So a long time ago, a friend of mine told me that the way to define a product, a brand new product, is you need to find some people whose problem you're solving, to agree that the problem you're solving is a problem for them.
Right.
It's painful enough that they'll spend money to solve it, and that your solution is a solution for their problem, and not another approach.
I think we're going to wrap things up with that thought. Say that again, because I think it's critically important for me if I want to start a company or I want to grow my company to the next level. Give us that last concept again, and we'll put your contact information on the screen so QA people everywhere can reach out to you and give you their input. Once again, that problem pitch.
So when you're building a business, you want to solve a problem generally, and you need to find the people that agree that the problem exists, agree that the problem is painful enough to solve, that it's worth solving, and that your solution is a solution, and then it's a question of how much you're going to pay for this.
Perfect. Well said, well put. Corey Spitzer, entrepreneur, guy with an itch that's going to go find a lot of problems and solve them out there. Learn more from him. He's on LinkedIn. You can reach out there as well. I'm Paul Madsen, host of the program. Please visit growmedia.com to learn what's going on with me, and we will see you next week. Until then, go on out there and grow something.